How is everyone doing? Strength Chat episode 89, and today I have got a very special guest for you. Today I'm joined by a European and Commonwealth bronze medalist in weightlifting. Today I'm joined by Emily Campbell. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very, very well. What have you been up to? What's been going on in your world?
Well, I got back from the World Championships about 2-3 weeks ago now. Which was good. I was out in Thailand, so that was cool. I
Nice.
was hitting up there. But yeah, no, it was a good comp for me, another qualification comp for the Olympics. I got a clean and jerk and total PB, which
Nice.
is good. Ranked ninth. So to be ninth in the world is not bad, I don't think.
No, not at all. That's awesome. Did you manage to have a little bit of a holiday while you're in Thailand then, or was it just a competition and then straight back?
Yeah, it was just a competition straight back because weightlifting is done in weight order. So obviously there's weight categories and it starts from the lightest to the heaviest. And
Right.
with me being a super heavyweight, I'm always on the last day and then we fly home the next day. But I
Right.
mean, I got to do some bits and bobs while I was out there. We got to go to like the elephant sanctuary and I got to go to some markets and stuff, which was quite cool. So I got to do little bits, but I couldn't really like let go completely because I had to obviously think about recovery and making sure I was all right for lifting.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, nice. So how was it working for the qualification for the Olympics then? Do you have to tick so many boxes for the competitions that you're doing, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's quite complicated to be fair, so I'll try and explain it in the simplest, shortest form I can. So you have to do 6. Everybody in the world has to do 6 qualification competitions. So obviously, people are eligible for different ones. So there's ones that obviously everyone can attend, and then there's ones that people only certain people attend. So like your continental championships or stuff like that.
Right.
So you have to do 6. They're leveled gold, silver, and bronze. So you get something called Roby points for every performance that you do.
Right.
If you go to a gold level comp, the Roby points will be added 10% on. Silver will be 5%, and bronze is get what you get.
Right.
And then what they'll do is they'll basically add up everyone's points. They'll take your best 4 scores, so one from each third. They split into like thirds of competition, and they'll take one from the best, and then your next best one, and then they'll take an average, and then they'll make a ranking list in the world. If you are in top 8 of the world, then you'll basically get golden tickets to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
If you don't quite make the top 8, there'll be one more chance to make it. You'll have to be the first one left in your continental rankings to get picked. And that's basically the only way that you can get selected for the Olympics.
Right.
So it's kind of not up to your federation. It's basically wherever you rank yourself in the world is the chance that you get to go. And we can take 4 males and 4 females. Different countries have different restrictions depending on their previous doping allegations. So some countries are obviously very naughty, can only take 1 of each or 2 of each. But that's basically the short form of it. But as you can see, it's quite complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sitting and watching the Olympics, you think, it must be that if they've either won the British title or won a world title or anything or finished wherever. Yeah, I didn't realise it was that complicated.
Yeah, no, you would think obviously if you was the best in your nation, then you should automatically go and represent. But no, I think it's due to in the Olympics now they're trying to shorten the amount of time that events take. So instead of having lots of groups of people, because before they would have obviously like an A group, a B group, a C group, they're literally doing like straight finals now because they just want to they just want to get down to the business end of it. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to qualify for Olympics, you got to be the best of the best, really. So you kind of got to earn your spot to be there.
Absolutely, that's fair enough. So for people who, because obviously for everyone listening, me and Emily actually went to the same uni. I was quite glad when I messaged you that you remembered me.
Yes, I did.
That would have been a little bit more awkward. But for everyone who might not know your background and obviously, seeing the progress that you've done in weightlifting, do you just want to give a little bit of a background to yourself?
So I went to Leeds Beckett. Well, it was Leeds Met when we started, wasn't it? And Leeds Beckett was
It'll always be Leeds Met. Always Leeds Met.
It's always been Leeds Met, yeah. And I was actually doing athletics at the time. So I was a hammer shot and discus thrower. And as I got through uni, I started to specialise a little bit more in hammer and shot. And basically, the short form of it is that I wanted to get stronger for the shot and I wanted to get better at it. And I went to the gym and obviously I squatted, I deadlifted, just all your basics. But I didn't do any like power lifts. And I wanted to basically improve. And I met a guy called Yusuf Z, and he was a strength and conditioning coach at the university at the time, but he also worked for British weightlifting as a coach. As a regional coach, and he basically said to me, do you want me to write you an S&C program? I'll teach you the techniques of like the snatch and the power clean, and we'll have a crack at it and see if it helps you with your shot. And then I basically just started doing that, and he kind of said to me like, do you want to do weightlifting? Like, and obviously I thought it was mental because like I was 21, and I'm like, why am I going to start a new sport at 21? Like, that's ridiculous. But he was like, no, I really think you've got like potential to do it. And I was like, listen, I'll have a crack at it. What's the worst that can happen? We'll have a go and blah, blah. And started training for it. And I think within 6 weeks, I maxed out the senior British qualifying total in training. And then he was like, can you get a membership and can you get a suit and can we do this? And then, I went to our first qualification competition in Mansfield, just not far from me in Nottingham, and qualified for the English Championships. And then kind of from there, I didn't really look back. The first year was pretty tough because I'd already committed to the athletics season. So I remember one weekend I did the British Champs for athletics, so I did shot. And then the weekend after I did the British Championships for weightlifting. So it was quite intense within the first year. But then I kind of got to the end of the year and they said to me, we really think you can have a good shot at this weightlifting. Yeah. And but you're gonna have to commit to it. Like, you don't have to, but this is your decision. And I just kind of thought, well, I do enjoy the weightlifting more than I enjoy the shot. So what's the worst that can happen? It's just another sport I enjoy. So then I decided to quit athletics and take up weightlifting semi full time.
Right, there you go. Well, seeing you, obviously, watching you and seeing the post that you're putting on Instagram and all that sort of stuff, and seeing sort of your progression through, and obviously aiming for the Olympics. How have you sort of dealt with the progression? Because obviously, going to the English and the British and then, Commonwealth, Europeans, how have you found sort of the progression going through and, going to all these different competitions?
Yeah, it's a good question because it did happen very fast for me. I was in the sport 18 months. I was at Commonwealth Games, and there's people that train 4 years, 8 years to have that moment and to be out there. So I was obviously very fortunate that I qualified so fast. But the good thing for me, I think, is I have a very good team around me. So I have two very good coaches, Dave Sawyer and Cyril Martin. And luckily, Dave is also our national coach as well. So he's the guy that we get to take away with us to international. So he coaches us in competition. Right. I think they've always kept me very humble and grounded, but then they've always, made me keep my expectations very high. Yeah. And I think you just kind of have to, no comp is the same. So you just kind of have to take every comp as it comes. You have to be ready for anything. Yeah. Expect anything to happen and just, kind of just go there and take it all in your stride. I think the lucky thing for me is because I am used to competing competitively through athletics and stuff, I wasn't shy to competing. Yeah. And obviously competing on a big scale is the same, really. Yes, it's different in different sports, but you still have to handle the nerves, you still have to be prepared, you still have to put the best performance out on the day. So I think it was just for the first period as well, though, I just absolutely loved it. Like, I just had a blast. Like, obviously, because it was going into the unknown every time, and I just loved what I was doing. It was just like, going out and having fun each time. So I try and keep that element now, even though I'm obviously a lot better, and I'm going to higher level competitions where there's a lot more pressure and people expect a bigger performance from me. I try and just keep the element of fun in it, because I always think if you're having a good time, 9 times out of 10, you're going to perform better.
Yeah, absolutely.
It happens. So.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, being sort of, relatively new to weightlifting, if you like, you will be, like you say, taking it all in because it's all new. And if you're still enjoying it, you're probably gonna have a better competition. I know for me, I think the first time I competed at the British in powerlifting, I probably took it a little bit too seriously, whereas really I was rocking up like I was never going to make any big waves in it, and it was probably one of the best competitions that I had. But then this year, all right, it was a little bit further away in Dover, but I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go and enjoy it, and it was one of the best competitions that I've had.
Definitely.
Do you think sort of, obviously you mentioned there about competing in athletics and then jumping over to weightlifting. Do you think there's some, with your background of, the hammer and the shot putter sort of helped you out with weightlifting a little bit, or has it completely been, something new?
Yeah, I think there is definitely some similarities. Like, in the athletics, you got a minute to throw, when in weightlifting, you get a minute to lift. And it's kind of like the pressure thing, like it has to happen in that moment. You got 6 attempts when you threw, and we got, obviously, you get 3 attempts at snatch and 3 attempts at clean and jerk. So there's lots of similarities between that. The only difference I would say that obviously when you're doing athletics, like you're throwing shot, but there's a 200 going on around you, and people are screaming at a different vent, and pole vault's going on beside you. Whereas when you do weightlifting, you step onto a stage, and as soon as you're at that bar, it's absolute silence, and you could hear a pin drop, and every single person in that stadium is watching you do
Yeah,
that one lift. So that's probably the only difference I would think, and that's obviously something you have to get used to. That you kind of have to block out everybody else and just think, right, it's just me in the bar, and you know what you need to do, you know how you need to lift it, so you need to kind of forget about everybody watching you.
yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely. I think any sport really, it's just the key things of, motivation, discipline, all them kind of things that, I think no matter what sport you do, it kind of teaches you, and you can take them transferable traits over to a different sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there, obviously, the coach down at Leeds Met, or for anyone who's at Leeds Beckett now, Leeds Beckett. Um, the How did you progress, sort of working with? Did you say it was Dave Sawyer and Cyril?
Martin, yeah.
Yeah. How did you progress, sort of, and get into working with those coaches and progressing through? Because sometimes I know for me, first getting him, I got my first powerlifting program because it was a guy that I worked with, and he just gave me a program, and then I signed up to a few online things, and then eventually ended up with the coach that I've got now. How did you
Yeah.
progress? Because obviously, did you have a coach in athletics that you worked with as well?
Yeah, so I had a coach in athletics that I worked with, and yeah, I think obviously towards the end, and obviously I told him I was going to start doing weightlifting, and then he started seeing the weightlifting, and I think in his head he kind of knew that I was going to jump ship soon, and obviously we'd had a conversation about it, and I said to him, I'm gonna go and be a weightlifter, and he kind of said, listen, you put your mind to anything you want to do, and off you go, and then that was Mike Swain, and he was a great guy, and we still keep in touch now, and he still follows all my weightlifting, which is amazing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I started working with Yusuf within my first year of weightlifting, and he was, he taught me the fundamentals of how to lift and how to compete and everything. And he was a very very good coach, and literally I thank him to this day, because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be in the position I am now. But basically, it was area change for me. So obviously, I was up in Leeds, and I decided to go back home again to Nottingham, and I managed to secure a job down here after finishing university. So I moved back, and then at the same time as I moved back to Nottingham, Yusuf actually moved to go travelling in Australia.
right.
So he was remote coaching me from Australia. And obviously, with me being so new to the sport, I struggled a little bit, because there was so much technical stuff that I still needed to learn, even though I'd made a massive progression. I've gone to national championships and won medals. If I really wanted to take it to that next level, I had to nail my technique. It's hard when you're strong and you're powerful, but you can't lift the weights that you're capable of, because
Yeah,
your technique's not there. So he basically recommended to me. He said to me, "I know it's not far from you. If you can get up there, I know you drive. There's a gym in Alfreton called Atlas, and Cyril Martin and Dave Sawyer coach up there. And Cyril Martin is one of the best technical coaches in the country. So if you
right.
can get up to him, I would recommend it." So yeah, I just started going up to Atlas, and it was a couple of times a week, and then it started turning into 3-4 times a week, and then before I knew it, I was there, for every single session that I was doing. And Cyril was putting in absolute hours with me on especially my snatch technique, because I was a bit more naturally gifted at clean and jerk and struggled a little bit more with the snatch. And he worked really, really hard with me. And then obviously it got to a point where it felt natural to kind of move on to those guys full time, because of the amount of effort and work they was putting in, and the fact that obviously Yusuf was miles and miles away, and obviously he was doing things that he wanted to do in his life. And you can't stop somebody, even though they're your coach, and
Yeah,
that they've got to live their life at the same time. So yeah, I had a conversation with Yusuf, and I said, I feel like it's right for me to move and be coached by these guys. They're putting a lot of effort into me, but they're not programming me, and it's hard to improve somebody when they're not doing your work. And he totally got it, and he said, yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and, I wish you the best. And again, me and Yusuf speak all the time, I message him. Every single championships he will watch, no matter what the time zone is. He's the first person to message me after I've lifted to say well done. And I'm just so lucky that I've got these, amazing people around me to, keep me going in my journey. And it's important that you keep, good relationships, and you remember the people that helped you along the way. And then, Dave and Cyril have basically coached me ever since then. So they've coached me for probably coming up for 2.5, 3 years now.
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. When you chat about that, I think people forget that, whether it's, weightlifting or powerlifting or, any sort of individual sport, I think sometimes people forget that there is, a team around you. It's not just what people see on the platform, the hours that go in behind it, and the support network that people have. I think sometimes people forget about that sometimes. And I think it's good that keeping in contact with them, because obviously I think sometimes there is a natural progression, and it's a little bit like graduating through school and into university, and the more you need or the more support you need, you naturally gravitate to the people that are going to help you out.
Definitely, definitely agree. And I think Yusuf kind of knew that decision was coming as well for me to move to them guys, because I needed when they started saying to me, we think you can qualify for the Commonwealth Games, I'm very new to the sport, and obviously I'm thinking that they're crazy, but I needed that. If I wouldn't have had that intense commitment from these guys up at Atlas, then I don't think me going to the Commonwealth Games would have been feasible. But the fact that them guys put in the effort and the work, and obviously I put in the hard work as well, that then we made it happen and that qualified. So
oh, nice. So obviously when you said about some of the technique side of things, and you said you were better at sort of the clean and jerk, how has your training sort of changed as you've progressed through? Because obviously at the start, semi-pro, pro weightlifter, has it changed from just sort of getting in and practicing the lifts? How has your program and everything changed? The more that you've progressed.
Yeah, I think definitely it's just been a trial and error thing to see what works for me. Obviously, before it was very technical based and stuff and whatever. And to be fair, getting strong, yes, I came into sport strong and powerful, but I was a different kind of strong and powerful. I was strong and powerful for athletics. I wasn't strong and powerful for weightlifting. So, it's I think one thing that Cyril and Dave really worked on me was getting me weightlifting Pacific strong. Which is, a different, squatting different, deadlifting different. We don't do classical deadlift. Our deadlift is either snatch deadlift or clean deadlift. It's basically tailored to, make you clean or you snatch stronger. So it was just kind of learning all those little bits. Obviously, I got to a point where I got a lot more consistent, and it was kind of a bit more like I could just get to the bar and do it. Yes, you obviously have to keep thinking about little technical things, and, there's little things that I know. But I think the biggie for me was me learning myself. If I do a lift and I was to miss it or it was not quite right, for me to identify myself what went wrong, then my coach is standing there and going, the bar was forward, or you didn't finish your pull. So for me to put the bar down and go, I know what was wrong there, I didn't finish my pull, do another rep and correct it. So I feel like we're at that stage now, which is great. And I think this block up to the World Championships was the block that we got absolutely bang on. I think this is the first time we've done good blocks of training before, and I've gone into competitions in shape. Europeans, I was in great shape. Commonwealth Games, I was in great shape. But the World Championships, I think this time we absolutely nailed it. And we started with what you like to call a metrocycle, which is basically lots of reps, very little rest, and low percentages. So it was basically just getting me fit, because I think people think that, because it's one big powerful lift, that you don't have to be conditioned and fit. But to be able to do the amount of training that we do and handle the kind of weights that we do on a daily basis, you do have to be conditioned for it. So we did that. And this time as well, this training block around, I added in sprints and medicine ball work into my training. So once a week, I would do some powerful throws with a medicine ball, different exercises. Then after, we'll do hill sprints. So up to about 30 meters, no more than that. But you see, that helped massively with my recovery in between sets and my recovery in between training sessions. And then after we went on to obviously a strength block where we managed to iron out little technical issues that we felt we had and just obviously generally get stronger. For me, I concentrate on the lifts a lot more because my squats are very big compared to my lifts.
Yeah.
So for what I squat, I should be able to probably snatch another 10 kilos more than I already do, and clean and jerk probably another 10 kilos more. So, but obviously, if it all works like that, it'd be very easy for everyone, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
I had to smile to myself when you said there about conditions. I had a couple of weeks in America on holiday, and then I came back, and my coach gave me, it was 3 sets of 10 on high bar back squat. I'm glad you said that. Everyone else just laughed. It was,
no, I get it. It's tough. And then from the pre-comp cycle this time, we just absolutely hammered the lifts. So it was just repetitive and lifts. And we did a program where we worked up to, like, say, a heavy single of the day. And then you would drop back to 80% or 85% and you would do doubles on that weight. And that really worked for me because it was just reinforcing the lifts over and over again and just, becoming consistent, and then obviously keeping the squats there. And then obviously towards competition, you try and drop off everything that is slow and heavy, essentially. Because when you get to comp, you want to move as fast as possible and you want to be as powerful as possible. So you try and promote movement. So, we up the jumps a little bit more when we get towards competition and stuff like that. So we're trying to promote, obviously, moving the best and as freely as possible. That's kind of, now I think every single time we hit a program, we just sit down, we have a conversation. What went wrong in the last comp? What really worked in the last comp? What do we think really worked in the last training cycle? What do we think not so worked? What do we need to work on? What is still a weakness? And then that's how we collate a program. So it's give and take between all of us. Cyril Martin is the one that writes my program, so he's the one that actually writes my programs. And Dave's more of a competition coach and is there. Sometimes they're in training and stuff, but Dave works full time, so that's why I have a bit more time with Cyril. Because Cyril's retired and, he gives us a lot of his retired time, bless him. He might regret it in the future, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. But so it's just basically trial and error each time. Like there's no set way and there's no defined way. And especially when we train as well, like, I come in and the first questions he asks me is, how much sleep have you had? How do you feel today? And how are your legs? Yeah. And they're the 3 questions that he asked me, and then we go from then. And even if we look at my program and I had much sleep and I'm tired, and that program doesn't look like it's going to be realistic, if I start warming up and I look tired, he'll change it on the day. Yeah. So we train to how I feel and how I'm moving. And then sometimes if I'm feeling great, but then I haven't got any heavy lifts on that day, he might make me do a couple of heavy singles because he always thinks don't waste a session when you're feeling great. So it's definitely, trial and error and just, going with the flow and how you feel on the day. And he always says your program's a guideline. It's not set in stone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. With the people that I work as a coach myself, I think that's how training has to go. I think if it's too sort of rigid, it's either going to demotivate people because you've not hit the weight that you're supposed to hit that day, or you might end up injuring the lifter that you're working with. It sounds from there as well, which I think sometimes. What's quite interesting chatting with you, I think people sometimes think that it's not as professional as that you just go in, lift a few bars and then stick to the program and then that's it. Have you found that the more that you've progressed, it has become a little bit more professional, if you like? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's definitely, there's so much like technical stuff to it. And, I'm very lucky that, like I said, Cyril is researched for. So my coach is actually 79 and he'll be 80 next year. But he's researched for like 40 plus years on different programs by the Russians, the Bulgarians, everybody in the world that's like done different programs. And he's researched what's worked, what hasn't worked. He's like made programs like undulating programs. So basically means when you switch percentages throughout the week, then, graduating programs, which, go up in percentage as you go through the weeks. And he's basically researched everything. So like, he has always got a second plan if something doesn't work. 9 times out of 10, everything he gives us is bang on the money, and that's where your trust has to come in. Yeah. So if he gives me a program, I have to look at it, and I think I've looked at programs before, and I've gone, I'm gonna die, because I'm literally looking at it, and I'm thinking, there's no way on this earth I'm gonna finish it. And then, we work off 1 RMs, so we'll technically put them slightly higher than what we've hit, because obviously you want to work towards increasing your 1RM. You're obviously strong enough to hit the numbers you've already hit, so you want to push yourself further to get more. And he'll give me my 1RMs, he'll give me my program, and I just sit there and go, oh my God, I'm either going to be a machine after this or I'm going to be dead. But you know, you finish a program and you think, I was absolutely dreading that at the beginning of it, and I've absolutely smashed it. So you have to have the trust in him that he knows what he's doing, and he's planned this very carefully. And you know, there's a lot of work gone into what he's put on that page for you, and there's a reason why he's done it. So yeah, I definitely think you have to do that. And I think the other big thing as well that stepped up for me is, you know, the recovery.
Right.
Like it is hard for me because I work, so you know, so a lot of the time it's training, back home, quick shower, eat something to eat, and then I'm off to work till the evening.
Yeah.
But you know, it is about thinking about, you know, have I stretched enough today? Have I done enough recovery? Do I need to ice bath tomorrow for whatever session? How long? I have a massage every 2 weeks, and you know, sometimes it's like, you know, I'm not feeling that great, so maybe I have to have one in between. And you know, it's just thinking about, have I done enough recovery to make sure that I can get 100% out of every single session that I'm going to? Because that's the aim. You want to make sure you can give 100% effort in every single session that you give in. And if you haven't recovered that quite a bit, it might hinder that progress in that session.
Yeah, absolutely. And just touching on when you said there about, you know, working with the coaches, I think, you know, trust is a massive thing. But when all that work pays off, and the program that they've given you, even though you said they're looking at it, you think, oh my God, you know, what's going to happen here? I think once you've built that trust, and again, you know, you mentioned before about having that support network around you, it sort of fills you with confidence, so you never sort of have that doubts in your mind. I know sometimes, especially when it comes to sort of like powerlifting and weightlifting, as soon as you've got a little bit of a doubt, sometimes you think you might not make that lift. It sort of hinders your performance. And the recovery side of things, doing it myself and speaking to the lifters and clients that I work with, that's a massive thing. Obviously, as a student, and you know, being at uni, you've got a little bit more time. Have you found that to be one of the sort of biggest changes? You know, making sure that you're getting food in, making sure that you're getting recovery. Has that been one of probably the biggest changes?
Yeah, definitely. Because you do have to be so prepared. You know, you have to think, where am I going to be tomorrow? Like, what time? I mean, I always say that in life, I plan my day around eating. But you know, you do have to think, oh, I'm going to be out there. And so do I have to make my lunch tonight to make sure I've got it with me? Do I have to make sure I've got protein bar in my bag? Do I make sure I've got an apple and an orange or something or whatever? And, you know, just making sure that you are where you are. Even just little things like making sure you take meat out in the morning. You know, making sure you get your chicken out or your steak out in the morning so that later on you've got that to cook. You know, I am very lucky in the fact that I still live at home. So in the evening, I always have my evening meal made for me. My mum or dad makes it or whatever, because I eat with them. But yeah, in the daytime, sorting out my breakfast and lunch and snacks and stuff and whatever. And obviously making sure I'm hitting my macros as well, you know. People always think when being a super heavyweight, it's easy because you can eat what you want. Well, you can't eat what you want, because at the end of the day, you want a body that fuels your training. So yes, I get to eat a lot more than people, but then I have to eat considerably a lot more than people. So I have to make sure I'm eating enough. So I make sure I'm doing all my macros and stuff and whatever, which again, I'm very lucky. I work with Principal Nutrition, which is a guy called Yusuf, another Yusuf. He's Yusuf Patterson. He's amazing. Like, he's absolutely wicked, and you know, I just speak to him. Like, he's always like, talk to me, tell me what's going on, tell me what your weight is, what we try to do, and then after each comp again, we evaluate like how many calories I was on, how did I feel when I was eating those, all that kind of stuff, and then you know, we switch back again and think, right, this is what we're going to do for the next cycle. And like, if I'm having a day where I've probably fell off or whatever, I tell him, like, it's about being honest as well, you know. People always think that you're gonna, you know, as an athlete, you get it right all the time and you hit all your macros and stuff. And if someone tells you to do, they're lying. You always have days where, you know, things don't go to plan, or you eat slightly more than you should have, or, you know, you have slightly more, say, fat or whatever than you should or whatnot. It's about being honest with him and saying, listen, I fell off that day, whatever, what shall I do the rest of the week? And he guides me through no matter what. And he's so non-judgmental and whatever. And I think definitely when you're working with food and stuff, that you definitely need someone around you like that. And it makes a massive difference, especially me being a super heavyweight. Sometimes I would wake up and I'd be like 116 kilos. And the next day I'd wake up and I'm like 119, 120. And then I'd be back down again. And it's not healthy for you while you're training. You want a consistent weight. You know, the rest of the guys that have to cut weight, they lift at a consistent weight and then they cut under when they need to. So, you know, why should we make sure that our weight is fluctuating? It's not great for you. So this is the massive thing that he's helped me with in the lead up to Worlds. I was waking up, you know, within 200, 300, no more than 400 grams of the same weight every single day, which I seen a massive difference in training.
Yeah. The whole sort of when people sort of beat themselves up having if they've had a bad day or anything like that, everyone has an off day with food, or you know, has a little bit of a treat every now and again. It's not sort of the end of the world. I know for me, and you know, it's interesting you saying there about your food. I've tried to eat, you know, a little bit better, and you know, I think sometimes, you can just eat what you want, but like you say, you've got to eat your food for your performance. Because I went up a weight class, and I just basically did it by eating crap. And then the results that was on the platform and training just felt absolutely rubbish. Change my nutrition around, and it's quite a big difference to how you feel when it gets to your training, just when you get your nutrition dialed in a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with it 100%. It's kind of the last piece of the performance puzzle for me. Like I kind of have everything on lock. I'm very lucky. I work at a physiotherapy clinic, but that clinic sponsors me, my physio care. I'm sponsored by somebody for massage, and obviously I have a really good coaching team and whatnot. And then that was kind of like the last piece for me to the performance puzzle when I brought Yusuf on board, and you know, now he helps me with the nutrition. And yeah, I think until you actually try it, you don't realize the benefits that it has. So I'd always recommend to people, if like, you know, you think counting calories is long and doing all of this and eating that way is a bit of an effort. Yeah, when you first start, it's because it's something new. Yes, you have to make an effort to do it, but once you get into the swing of it, you just do it automatically, and it doesn't become a drag anymore. And then you see the performance in the gym, and you think, well, it's worth it. Yeah. That couple of extra minutes logging, you know, what I had to eat today, the fact that I've had a wicked training session tonight because I was fueled properly, you know, it's worth them 2 minutes of logging on my fitness pal or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, I think, you know, if people's goals are, you know, you mentioned there about the Olympics, you know, if you've got that goal in mind, I think you've got to make sure that, you know, you're covering all the bases, because if, you know, workouts start dropping off or anything like that, and you know, you're not looking after your nutrition, that could be the difference between, you know, a couple of places or a couple more kilos on the bar. I think, you know, especially within the individual sports like we mentioned there, you know, powerlifting, weightlifting, I think you've got to cover all those bases, and you know, make sure you're getting your food in, make sure you're getting your recovery, because that's the difference, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. I always said this. I said if I get to a point where, you know, on selection I don't make the Olympics, but I know in my heart I've done absolutely everything in my power to try and qualify, and I gave it everything and left every single piece of me out there, then I can't be disappointed. Like, obviously you're going to be gutted, but you can't be disappointed. What is going to disappoint me and what's going to anger me is if I don't make the Olympics and then I look back and think, well, I could have done that there, and I could have not missed training that day, and I could have worked harder there, and I could have made sure my food was sorted there. And if you're looking at, you've got holes in your progress up to there, and you know you could have tried harder, you could have put in 100% more, then that's going to be disappointing. Yeah. So I think that's the difference. Just knowing that, you know, if you know you've given 100%, no one can ask any more of you. Yeah. It's when you know that you've cut corners or you've not quite tried that hard, that's when it becomes disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know with the people that I work with, all I ask is that people, you know, try their best and commit to it. And I think deep down, people know if they haven't put the effort in, because you know, you can see it in how they carry themselves. But this is from speaking to, you know, athletes such as yourself, and for everyone listening. Like, I think again, it's sometimes the training side of things. You mentioned there, when you speak to your coaches, you might change the training program on the day depending on how you feel. But how you feel is down to your sleep, your food, stress, and all that sort of stuff. The training side of things, really, I mean, you know, not taking anything away, because Yeah, I know. I'm sure you've had some sessions. I've had some sessions where you just think, "Oh my God, this is absolutely hell." But that's sort of the bit that you can, that's sort of taken care of. It's the things outside of the gyms that you've got to, stay on top of.
Yeah, technically, I mean, yes, training is hard. Don't get me wrong. Like, you train like we do. It's hard work, but it's essentially training in the gym's the easiest part.
Yeah,
It's all the stuff around it that's the harder part. So yeah, like don't make the easiest bit that you've got to do even harder for yourself.
yeah,
Make the fact that going to the gym and smashing out your session and getting a good session done is the easy part of your day. And then try and work on the harder bits that surround it, such as your recovery, your sleep, your eating. They are definitely the harder bits out of the whole journey of it.
yeah, absolutely. So, how does obviously you mentioned earlier on that you do the majority of your sessions up at Atlas Gym now. How does your week look then? How many times do you train? What do you do on your rest days? How does your week normally look?
Yeah, so I train on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. And then I do my sprint and mediball session on a Sunday. So Thursday is the only complete rest day that I have. But on Thursday, I do work 12/8.
Right.
But luckily, while obviously I do work at a physiotherapy clinic.
Yeah.
So on every other 2 weeks on a Wednesday night, I'll have a massage because it's good to have it the night before a rest day, because then you have all day for it to kind of do its magic.
Yeah.
And then on Thursday I will try and do have a physio appointment just for little bits and bobs. Like at the moment I'm generally healthy, it's just like I have a bit of tendonitis issues in your knee, which is you speak to most weightlifters, powerlifters, that's just the norm. So normally I'll get my knees treated, or anything that's probably niggling me or whatever, I get sorted on that Thursday on my rest day. I normally use the ice bath, so we have a plunge recovery pool that's 10 degrees at the place, which is lovely and cold. So I use that, and then the other days are just pretty much Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is lovely. I just have to train, so get a good sleeping in the morning, get a decent breakfast, a decent lunch, and just kind of chill out and stuff and whatever. And then it's just for me to get kind of little errands done that aren't too stressful to get things done. And then Tuesday I train in the morning. That's my busy day where I have to get home, get a shower, get some food, and then I'm off to work till the evening. And then Saturday again is just train in the morning, and then a lot of recovery is napping. Like I nap a whole heap. Like if someone tells you naps aren't good for you, they lie to you. Because literally sometimes don't for long, half an hour, 45 minutes, but lay down, have a sleep, get up, and then I generally feel like I could conquer the world. Because if I come back after training, sometimes I could just about eat my food, and then I'm like, right, I need to sleep to be able to function. So a lot of napping in between stuff. So if I can, in between work and training, I'll have a nap or whatever. But that's pretty much how my week looks. I do have like a hot tub at home as well, so sometimes I do some recovery in that, which is always good. But obviously you have to wait till the weather's nice. And at the moment with this rain,
I know it's been absolutely
not great.
Yeah, it's been rubbish going back from 30 odd degrees in Florida and landing back in Manchester.
You can't write it, can you? Pants. Yeah. But that's pretty much me. So like every bit of available time really that I have, I try and concentrate on recovering and just winding down, and sometimes forgetting about weightlifting. Like it's very intense. It's very intense. It's very thick, and obviously I give 100% to it every time I go. So the time that you're not weightlifting, sometimes it's good to just kind of forget about weightlifting, be with friends, be with family, chill out, have a bit of fun. Because it's healthy for the brain. Because if you're constantly focused on something and you don't have rest from it, sometimes it can be, detrimental. And you've got to keep your mind and everything healthy as well as, your body. So sometimes it's good to just, chill out, watch a movie, go out with friends, eat food. Like us at the gym, we love going out for meals and stuff and having big feeds after the gym, which is always lovely, just to chill and chat and, catch some banter and eat some food. So I always think that's really important as well. When I'm not training, having as much fun as possible and without doing anything too wild, obviously.
I think sometimes from the outside looking in, I think people can sometimes think that when people are such focused on a goal, that's all they think about. But sometimes I think that's why people sometimes fall out of love with any sport that they're doing if
100%.
everything into that. I know I handled a couple of lifters just like a regional competition, and after sort of being in a sports hall for sort of 2 days, and there'll be like heavy music playing, everyone's quite intense because it's competition day. Sometimes it's quite nice just to just go for a walk and not be around that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Can't agree more.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned about napping there, because people laugh at me when I say I absolutely love a nap. But if you want to get your sleep in, if you want to be fresh, and when I chat to a couple of lifters that I work with, saying get a nap in if you can, and they get I'm going to try and make a nap revolution. I want to get everyone napping.
Yes, I'm amen to that. I'll sign up. I'll be with you. But yeah, no, I look at people, because people laugh at me because I'll like nap, and then I'll be in bed for about 9:30, be asleep by 10 o'clock, and then we'll sleep all the way till like 8 o'clock in the morning. And everyone's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, but this is what it does to you, because you are so tired and you're on the go all the time. Training is strenuous and the rest of it, that, your body obviously needs it. If your body's going to sleep and it's going to do it, then, you just got to listen to your body sometimes.
Absolutely, yeah. So the next question that I wanted to ask is, obviously looking at the other example is there's a guy called Taylor Atwood in powerlifting, and he played I think he played American football, and then he's got involved in powerlifting, and has seen a really quick progression through up until worlds in powerlifting, and yourself having a background in the hammer and shot put. What are your thoughts on other people who maybe be at a crossroads in other sports, taking up weightlifting or powerlifting, because it's shown that actually, like you've mentioned before, you had that raw strength and power, and you just needed to work on a little bit of technique of things. What are your thoughts on other people? Because you do that training, athletes will do strength training in the gym anyway. What about other people getting involved in weightlifting or powerlifting? Can you see more people sort of carrying across?
Yeah, I definitely think, I always think of anything in life, just give it a go. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you're not very good at it, you don't enjoy it, or whatever. And then, you've been there, and you've got no regrets, and that, you've tried it, you don't like it, you can move on. Do you know what I mean? Even if you try it, you're not great to make it to a high level, but you really enjoy it. Yeah. Because I think people forget as well that, like, sport's not everybody in sport is going to be elite.
Yeah.
But sport's not just there to be elite. Sport's there to, improve people's mental health, and to, get people out there and enjoying something, and give somebody something to do, and give people hobbies, and, make new friends and socialize. So, there's a lot of elements to sport out there. And, if you can start weightlifting and join a gym, before you know it, you're probably having 20 more friends that, you can chill and socialize with outside of the gym. And even if you don't want to see them outside of the gym, you go to the gym, you see them for 2 hours, you have some fun with them, and then you go home about your business. So I always think, just try it, give it a go, and then you've got to sit down to yourself and be honest with yourself and think, what do you want to get out of it? If you think you can go to a high level and you think you can make it, and there's people around that you believe in you as well, go for it, do it, give it 100%. I mean, I think with everything you have to work hard. Like, I think obviously people have seen that people have gone into, like, powerlifting and weightlifting and made, big progressions and stuff and whatever. But you've got to remember that person worked hard to make those big progressions, and probably had to make a lot of sacrifices to do that. So, but if you're willing to put in the work ethic and you're willing to go for it, then, do it. And if not, just go in there and just have some fun. And if not, just try it.
Yeah, I think that's, sound advice there. A couple of people in the powerlifting club that I'll run, they'll say, oh, do I have to compete? Do I have to go and, buy a singlet and all this sort of stuff? If you just want to get in, get strong, and then once you get to a point that you want to go into a competition, like, really, I think, seeing weightlifting and powerlifting, everyone wants to see everyone just progress and do well. Yeah. I don't think it's a sport where people are like, oh, I hope he fails this lift or whatever, especially when people are just starting out.
Yeah, you want to see people go 6 for 6, 9 for 9. Do you know what I mean? We want to see people go out and make lifts and get lifts. And I always hear people, a lot of people in weightlifting will go, "Oh, but I don't think I'm good enough to do a comp." What is good enough?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is no standard of what is good enough. Like if you can do a snatch and you can do a clean and jerk, and you want to do a competition, sign up to that competition and do it.
Yeah.
You go out there and you only want to beat yourself. I always say to new beginners that want to go out and do a competition, I think it'd probably be the same for powerlifting. You want to go out there and you want to make lifts. It's not about how much you lift or, what's going on. You go out there, you put comfortable numbers on the bar, you make good lifts, you try and work on getting the best technique you can on each lift, and you come away feeling like you've achieved something.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Like there's no I'm good enough, or there's no like level to it. Just, go in and just have a blast.
Absolutely. What's funny about that is I've been training him for he did his first competition over summer, and then he's got another one coming up. And basically, I gave him a program. He said, "I found this competition. I want to give this a go." I was like, "Right, no worries. We'll follow our program." I said, "We'll see how we get on." And he actually, I think he went something like 5 out of 9 or something like that. It wasn't, one of the best days. He missed commands on a couple of lifts and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
He's a French guy, so he just made the joke of, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't understand the commands." And do you know what? even though on the lifts on the day, basically it was just he wasn't sure on the commands. We practiced them, but on the day, a couple of nerves and that sort of stuff. But actually, even though I think he got a PB on deadlift, he really enjoyed it, and now he's signed up for an actual Yorkshire and North East divisional powerlifting competition. And for me, that sort of sums up that. Look, he didn't have the best day, but he had fun. He was on the platform. He got his new singlet on, and then now he wants to do another one. So exactly like what you say, what is good enough. It was just a beginners competition. He had fun, enjoyed it. Spoke to the other lads in his weight class, and now he wants to do another one. Hopefully, touch wood in this one, he'll listen to commands a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, that's what exactly. And if he listens to those commands in the next one, then he's improved from the last comp. So you can't ask for anything more. No, definitely. I just think, don't think about it too much. If you want to do it, go out there, because if there's anybody judging you, or they're not worth their opinion, because at the end of the day, you're better than the person that sits there and makes fun of people. Just go out there, do what it is, because there'll be plenty more people that want to support you than want to bring you down.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously covered a few topics there, about training and that sort of stuff. Just going back to, obviously you've got your Olympic qualification competitions coming up. Having seen your progress so far and seen your lifts, it's awesome to see your progress. What are your goals for the future, if you like, and what can we expect to see from Emily Campbell in the future?
So obviously the right goal at the moment is to qualify for Tokyo. So hopefully you'll see me out in Tokyo competing, which would be wicked, at my first Olympics. And then after that, it will be the Commonwealth Games, which is a home Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022. And I'll be hoping to upgrade that bronze medal to a gold medal, which would be lovely in front of a home crowd. So definitely, coach knows that's the only colour medal that I want if I go there. So let's work hard and hope I'm in shape for that. And then after that, it would be Paris 2024 Olympics, where I'm probably going as a bit more of a serious competitor and hoping to have a crack at an Olympic medal out there. That's kind of the main goals for that. But in the short term, it's just keep enjoying weightlifting, hopefully inspire some more young people to get into weightlifting, and just keep enjoying and sharing my journey with everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Really, really enjoyed catching up with you and chatting with you. Hope everyone enjoyed that as much as I did. Just to round off, obviously we've spoken about quite a lot of different topics there. Everything that we've chatted about, what would be your take-home points or words of wisdom for people listening?
No matter what you do in life, give it 100%. Come away with no regrets. Do things for yourself and not for other people, because 9 times out of 10, when you do something for yourself, it will please other people anyway.
Yeah.
And just take every opportunity that life gives you, because life is too short to and if. Enjoy it, have a blast, and just give it everything.
Awesome. I tell you what, if that hasn't motivated people listening, I'm ready for my squat session today now.
Hey.
So for everyone listening as well, obviously, seeing your training leading up to the qualification for the Olympics and your training so far, where can people find you and follow your progress so far?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at EmilyJade_GB. So that's basically where I put all my lifting videos and stuff and whatever. So if you want to catch up with that, and obviously, don't be afraid to, drop me a DM if you want to ask any questions or whatnot. And I'm on Facebook as Emily Campbell as well. Don't go on Facebook as much, but I am on there. So yeah, if you want to say hey, don't be afraid.
Awesome. Everyone listening, check out Emily's training and progress so far. It's great to see someone making waves and making so much progress within weightlifting. Thanks a lot for taking the time to chat with me.
No problem.
Thanks a lot to everyone listening, and I will see you all next week.